Thank you. I want to begin by telling you how delighted I am to be here and to see so many friends and colleagues, and it's a wonderful event, and I want to thank you, Mickey, for the invitation, and for the sponsors. Thank you for hosting this event. I think it's always good to showcase the brilliance and the talent of the Hispanic community, and this is a wonderful event. Anna, thank you for that very kind introduction. I always try to keep the introductions down to 30 seconds if at all possible, and you were right on. I also want to thank Anna and Victor for their daughter, Raquel, who works in my office as my assistant. And she is really doing a remarkable job. Anna talked about the Houston Astros. Like the president, I am a big baseball fan. And for many Houstonians, this year did mark the end of 44 years of hope and agony as we struggled about our Houston Astros reaching the World Series. I spent a lot of time, as some of you may have the past week, watching the World Series. I even got the chance to be in Houston for Game 3. You might remember that was a game that lasted 14 innings until nearly 1:30 in the morning, and I was there to the bitter end. It was special to be at the first World Series game played in the state of Texas. But I was disappointed that I couldn't stay for Game 4 the following night when they introduced the Latino Legends team on the field before the game. And in retrospect, I'm glad that I didn't have to watch the White Sox celebrate on my team's field. But it would have been incredible, think about it, to see heroes such as Juan Marichal, Rod Carew, and Fernando Venezuela line up with today's Latino stars such as Alex Rodriguez, Albert Pujols, and Pedro Martinez. Now, I suspect that sometime during the ceremony, each and every one of the players thought about the one person who couldn't attend the ceremony, Roberto Clemente, the great Pittsburgh Pirates right fielder who died in a plane crash delivering supplies to needy victims of an earthquake in Nicaragua. Clemente embodied the term legend, and he paved the way for names like Rivera and Ramirez and Rodriguez to play the game. And Clemente's son represented him among the outfielders that night, and he commented that, quote, "This is a great day for Latinos in baseball." But when I look at this group today, I'm proud to say this is a great day for Latinos everywhere. More and more young Latinos across the country have role models that they can turn to for inspiration, and not just on the baseball diamond, but in virtually every field of human endeavor. It's important that we strive for professional excellence in the sciences, in the media, in the law, in business, and as community activists. Already in the short history of the Latino Leaders Luncheon, you've heard from an all-star cast, and I am privileged to be in their company. I am Hispanic. I am Latino. I say that with a great deal of pride. I love my family. I believe in God. And I am grateful for my country, the United States of America, which has allowed me to live the American dream. I served in our armed forces because I believe the freedoms and opportunities available in America are worth defending and ultimately worth dying for. I am proud of our beautiful culture, the language, the foods, the traditions. We are alike in these ways, and alike, I suspect, in pursuing prosperity and opportunity for all Hispanics. We all want to see our kids get an education. We want everyone to be able to own their own home or business. We all want an equal opportunity to pursue a dream. We will differ, of course, in how best to achieve these broad objectives, much like we may have a different history or a different heritage due to geography, much like we have different tastes in food, our dialects, our religion, and even our politics may be different. But in the end, there is more that binds us. We can all agree, for example, that too many of our children are getting into trouble and dropping out of school. We can all agree that the future leadership of our community is at risk. And the key, it seems to me, is to focus our energy, to direct our priorities, and to engage in a meaningful debate with clarity of purpose, but a discussion that is respectful and is tolerant of dissenting views. We may be from different ends of the political spectrum, but we enjoy a cultural tie that cannot be broken. I'm often asked by people, what is it like to be the first Hispanic Attorney General? And I tell them, and I say this, I've said this in several speeches recently, but I think it bears repeating, that I am the son of a poor cotton picker and construction worker, that my parents never finished grade school, and I am the Attorney General of the United States. I tell them that I know what it's like to face a life with few opportunities, with nothing more than a heart full of hope, a mind full of dreams, and a willingness to work hard. I tell them that I am the Attorney General for all Americans, but I know that some take great pride in the fact that the son of Mexican-American migrant workers serves as the chief law enforcement officer of the United States. Now, President Bush also takes great pride in that fact, and I am not the only Hispanic leader in this administration. When President Bush looks around the table at a cabinet meeting, he also sees Carlos Gutierrez, our Commerce Secretary. When he surveys the federal agencies, he sees names like Richard Carmona and Gary Vasquez and Hector Barreto and Ana Cabral, Kerry Dominguez, and many others. The President has surrounded himself with public servants who are qualified and who represent the important diversity of the American people. He's also applied these principles in making nominations for federal judicial appointments, a task that I worked on personally with him as White House counsel. I know the President well. Diversity at all levels of government is as important to him as it is to you. And it was a great privilege to help the President select a diverse group of qualified nominees who share his judicial philosophy. Let me talk a little bit about our recent Supreme Court nominee. Judge Sam Alito understands that there is no Hispanic Constitution, there is no African American Constitution, there is no white Constitution. There is just one Constitution for all Americans. Judge Alito has been on the bench for 15 years, and he's argued in front of the Supreme Court 12 times. He is well known for his fairness and his character and his commitment to the rule of law. During his 30 years of public service, much of which was spent at the Department of Justice, Judge Alito has earned a reputation for excellence that, quite frankly, few in this country can equal. But one of the great things about this process is that you don't have to take my word for this. Listen to his words as he responds to questions in his confirmation hearings. The Senate and the American public will learn more about Judge Alito's qualifications and his approach to judging. And so I ask you and others to reserve judgment and give him an opportunity to show why he would be good for the court and for the country. Judge Alito, like many of you, is the product of the immigrant dream, and he will bring his unique experiences and background to the Supreme Court, just as I have brought mine to my time as Attorney General. I've noticed over the course of my first months as Attorney General that my family's personal story has given me a unique appreciation for the challenges faced by many Americans. And this past weekend, I spoke to a group of Latino law enforcement officers, and I told them this story about a veteran deputy from the Los Angeles Police Department's anti-gang unit. It was a story about a man named Deputy Ortiz who went to work early on Friday, June 23rd, as he often did, in order to get a jump on a street gang investigation. The 35-year-old deputy had been with the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department for 15 years. He was a 5-year veteran of his department's anti-gang task force, and he had just returned from his honeymoon. Deputy Ortiz was going door to door, conducting interviews in a gang-plagued neighborhood. At 3 p.m., he knocked on the door of a house and was checking IDs when someone shot him in the head from point-blank range. As L.A. Sheriff Lee Baca described it, this was an assassination of a deputy. It was a sudden attack that gave the deputy no chance. The alleged gunman is Jose Luis Orozco, a suspected gang member. When Sheriff Baca spoke to the press about the murder, he printed out Orozco's rap sheet, and it was 5 feet long. The investigation that Deputy Ortiz was conducting on the day that he died was part of a broader effort to reclaim the small community of Hawaiian Gardens from gang intimidation, drug sales, and violence. Deputy Ortiz sacrificed his life to do his duty, and it struck me in recounting the story that everyone involved was Hispanic. A brave Hispanic deputy, a positive Hispanic leader in Sheriff Baca, and unfortunately, a young Hispanic already lost the dangerous life of guns and drugs and gangs. And it's a telling example both of the progress we've made and the long distance we have yet to travel. Gangs are a growing problem for the Hispanic community, and we all know it. Gangs wipe out the dreams of our children, and they cost us future leaders. I have directed my U.S. attorneys around the country to work with partners at the federal, state, and local levels to stop the spread of gangs and curb the rampant violence from gang activity. As the chief law enforcement officer of the country, my official role in responding to gangs and troubled youth is in leading investigations and promoting prosecutions. But as a father, that is not where I want to be. We need to get to these kids, our kids, before they join gangs, before they drop out of school, before they get into trouble. Education and prevention are as important as enforcement, and the department works to share necessary resources and training so that the hopes of our kids are not extinguished. That American dream, preserving that dream, is the reason that so many immigrants, millions every year, come to this country in search of a better life for their families. Now, recently, the President reiterated his vision for a comprehensive immigration reform program. And the President outlined a number of steps to strengthen security along our borders and to provide legal options for people who want to stay in the United States to work temporarily. I am a product, like virtually all of you, of the immigrant dream. And so I understand how important it can be for people looking to provide for their families. The President understands that too. He knows that family values, for example, do not stop at the Rio Grande River. He knows that immigrants have formed an important part of the American fabric of our society, and that America has a wonderful and long tradition of having open arms and welcoming people from other countries, hoping to come to America simply to pursue a dream. But the President and I also know, being from Texas, that the security of our citizens depends in part on our ability to control the border. We need to know who's coming into this country and why they're coming here. And with the temporary worker program, fewer people will try to sneak in unlawfully to work. And that means our enforcement efforts can focus on catching drug smugglers and terrorists and gun runners. And today, Homeland Security Secretary Mike Chertoff is announcing a new Secure Borders initiative. In fact, he's making the announcement right now in my hometown of Houston. The Secure Borders initiative is going to increase our ability to gain what Secretary Chertoff calls operational control on our borders. This is a new program which will provide additional resources and technologies at our borders. It'll make our country safer from the threat of terrorism. The Secure Border Initiative will also work hand in hand with the temporary worker program, again, with the goal of curbing illegal criminal activity and clearing a path for legal work in the United States. This is a very complicated issue. It's generated a great deal of passion here in Washington and around our communities, quite frankly, amongst our state leaders who are struggling to provide services to folks in their communities. As leaders, we need your reasoned voice in this debate about immigration. On this issue and many, many others that confront our community, we need your leadership. And as we work to ensure the hope and the opportunity of America for every citizen, I appreciate your ongoing efforts to nurture the Hispanic community, especially as role models for young Hispanics. It gives me such great pleasure and joy to see an assembly of Hispanic leaders like this. It gives me great hope for the future of our community. And I will tell you that I will do everything I can to work with you to ensure that the American dream remains a reality, a possibility for all of us, for our children and for future generations of children. So I close by simply saying I hope that God continues to bless you and your families. May He continue to guide all of your decisions and give you wisdom in addressing the challenges that confront you and your families. And may He continue to bless the United States of America. Thank you very much.